What if humans live forever? Picture this. Your great 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 grandmother is still alive. Not as a memory, not in a dusty photo where everyone looks mildly constipated and like they pooped their pants. She's at your dinner table tonight, still gossiping about a neighbor who, fun fact, also hasn't died in 200 years. Today, we're exploring what happens to society, economy, love, and the human brain if natural death just clocked out and never came back. Now, before you ask, no, this isn't a vampire video. Nobody's drinking blood. Although, give it 300 years of boredom, and honestly, who's to say? This isn't about avoiding car crashes or diseases. Those still very much can happen. People can still die. This is specifically about aging, clocking out permanently. No wrinkles, no bad knees, no erectile dysfunction, no slowly turning into your father right before your eyes with a receding hairline and you're almost bald at age 25. You simply don't die of old age ever, which honestly sounds great until you remember you'll be stuck at every family reunion for the rest of eternity. Let's break down how this absolutely wrecks everything we know. Now, what would be the biological rules in this society? First, we have to establish the premise. Humans are going to stop aging at a fixed point. Let's be generous and say our mid 20s, because nobody wants to be signing up for eternal life looking like they're mid growth spurt with pimples all over their face, like in middle school. Accidents, violence, and disease still cause death. So the Grim Reaper isn't unemployed, he's just working part time. All right. Congratulations, humanity. You've unlocked infinite life, but you can still slip in the shower. Ah, help me. I can't get up. This seems like the universe has a great sense of humor. Now, does your brain just keep observing new memories like forever? Or at some point, are you just a 400-year-old guy who still can't remember where he put his keys? So nobody dies of old age. Great. Utopia, right? Well, you're wrong. Let's start with the thing that breaks first: money. Money, money, money. Economic collapse or economic boom. What would be the population problem in this society? No death by aging means people are still going to have kids, and their kids are going to keep living, and their kids, they going to have kids. Shoot, we going to have 100 billion humans on the earth by 2030. The population chart is going to look like a rocket launch. Earth's population graph will look less like growth and more like a cry for help. Forget a starter home. You're going to need a starter planet for your kids because you're going to keep having them and then they going to have them. It's just a never ending cycle, guys. Now, what would jobs look like? If nobody retires, the corporate ladder becomes a corporate brick wall. Somewhere a 26-year-old is still waiting for his boss's job. His boss is now 340 years old and has never once considered retirement because retirement implies an end. And well, there is no end. And also, frankly, the 401k matching is incredible after 3 centuries of compound growth. Now imagine LinkedIn, but the guy who's open to work has been open to work since the Ottoman Empire. Now, what would a wealth accumulation look like in this society? Well, the rich aren't ever going to die, which means Jeffrey Epstein is with us. And wealth will never redistribute through inheritance. It just accumulates like a horrifying snowball. So the rich are going to get richer, just like now. Somewhere, a billionaire's investment portfolio has been compounding since the 1700s, and it's basically sentient at this point. It pays taxes better than most humans. Eat the rich, you say? At this point, you need a fork the size of a continent. Now, here's a possible upside to this question. Skilled labor is never going to disappear. So, you know that surgeon you can never forgive because they practice medical malpractice on your wife and now your wife is missing a limb? Well, that surgeon now has 200 years of practice. Now, on the bright side, your dentist finally gets good at his job by year 150. Took him long enough. The mentorship knowledge is never going to get lost. Imagine an 800-year-old career counselor, either the most helpful person alive or so disconnected from reality he's still recommending you get into the floppy disk industry. Money's only half the nightmare. Let's talk about your love life, which is going to get a whole lot weirder. What will relationships in society look like in this time? Let's look at marriage. Till death do us apart suddenly becomes the world's most aggressive life sentence ever. Imagine being stuck in a 300-year marriage with someone who still leaves the cabinet doors open forever. That's not marriage. That's not romance. That's a hostage situation with vows. Serial relationships across centuries, starter marriages that only last 40 to 50 years before a no fault, no drama breakup because everyone, quite frankly, is just tired. Now, what would family structure look like in this time? 7 generations alive all at one time, all showing up to the same Thanksgiving. Your great 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 grandpa is still the one carving that turkey and still making the same joke about how he used to whip his slaves back in 1850. Now, family power struggles. Who's actually going to be the head of our family in this time? Since grandpa, who's been alive since before electricity, refuses to use the dishwasher correctly. And what would parenthood look like in this time? There would be no biological clock urgency. Maybe people have fewer kids. Maybe with infinite time, they just have an excessive amount of them, like an absurd amount, like 50 of them, like King Solomon type numbers. Either family sizes shrink to zero, or somebody's going to end up with 47 kids and a podcast about it. Yikes. Scary world we're living in. What would friendship and identity look like in this time? Surviving friendships across centuries when you're a completely different person every 50 years, you and your best friend from college, except college was 3 different centuries ago. And now you don't even recognize each other's personalities, hobbies, or political opinions. Basically, every group chat, but with more historical context. All of this assumes that the human brain can even handle this much time without breaking. Let's find out. It probably can. Now, what would be the psychological toll on humans if this happened? Boredom and meaning. Let's look at this. The psychological, philosophical horror of filling literal centuries with purpose is going to be difficult. You think you're bad at finding hobbies now? Try finding it 600 years ago. You'll learn the cello, then unlearn it out of spite. Then you're going to learn it again in year 380 because you're a little bored and sad. Existential apathy is going to occur as well. Why do you have anything to say when you have unlimited tomorrows? Think about it. If you don't value today, do you value anything? This is also known as the homework procrastination mindset before your entire existence. And now, grief in this time is never going to end. Accidents and violence still happen, so grief never actually just goes away. It just gets a weirder math attached to it. Now, imagine losing someone after 200 years together. It's going to hit different than after 50 because you've shared 150 years of inside jokes that now nobody else on earth is ever going to understand. Tragic, but also kind of annoying for everyone else at that funeral. Now, what would be the memory limits of your mind? Does the brain actually hold centuries of memories, or does it just start deleting your most embarrassing moments from 1820 when you're getting whipped as a slave to make room for new ones? On the bright side, eventually you'll forget that thing you said in middle school that still haunts you to this day. On the downside, you'll also forget where you put literally everything for the next 400 years. Mental health would be at an all time low during this time. Would despair increase at scale, or would humans simply adapt the same chaotic way we always do? Humanity's superpower has never been emotional stability, it's been stubbornness. We're going to find a way to be pretty petty about this too. So, does society collapse under all this, or does it just get weird and limp along the way it always does? Now, how's society going to react to this world? New social structures played for laughs, mandatory renewal periods, Government enforced career and relationship resets like a forced software update is going to happen, except it's going to be your whole personality. Picture jury duty, but instead it's mandatory midlife crisis duty, and everyone has to attend. New inheritance laws, since nobody dies to pass anything down, is going to happen. Lawyers, the only profession that gets more job security in an immortal society. Somehow they always win. Let's revisit overpopulation. Because, during this time, people are going to still keep popping out kids because they're still living and they're young, so their sex drive's gonna be out the roof. All right, now humanity is just gonna start shipping people to other planets because, bro, we don't have enough space up here on Earth for all these people, bro. Mars is now also a timeout corner for humanity's population problem, though. Landing on a balanced comedic note, not utopia, not dystopia, just humanity, weird and petty and creative, finding new ways to mess up an objectively miraculous gift. Now, we always assume more time would fix everything, more time to learn, to love, to finally clean out the garage. But maybe life feels meaningless meaningful, I mean to say, precisely because it ends. Maybe urgency is the entrance fee for purpose. Also, can you imagine still having to listen to your uncle's opinions at Thanksgiving in the year 2826? Some things really aren't worth immortality if you think about. If you live forever, would you actually use the time wisely, or would you just be scrolling on your phone every single day of the hour? Or would you just have an infinite number of tomorrows to keep putting things off forever? Let me know what you think the funniest, most chaotic side effect of eternal life would be. And if you want part two, where we check in on this world 1,000 years later to see exactly how badly humanity messed up, let me know in the comments.